Howdy, everybody. Welcome to the live stream, How We Roll with Crypto. It appears we've got several people joining us. We're going to give a bit of time just for these new people to come in. Hopefully my laptop webcam or my Instagram page is giving you good enough lighting. A bit shadowy on the side, but we will do. All right, so just going to give it a couple of minutes to get everybody to join who we're waiting for. Let me quickly check my Facebook group, if that is how you're joining us. Hopefully I have a bunch of my friends here, I guess. If you, let me see, where's my chat? Someone chat, oh, there's my chat on the side. No one's chatted anything already. Alrighty, yes. Talking to myself in front of the camera. Two people. Yes. Hi. Who are we with? Trevor, Amanda. Hey, how you guys doing? I should probably live stream with my friends more, but apparently it just, requires me to talk about crypto before I start talking to my friends online. But what can I say? I work in tech support and talk on the phone all day, so maybe I'm not always that eager to talk to devices. But anywho, we've got a couple notifications, just likes, reminder that my event is starting. All right, well, we've got Amanda in here. Yeah, that's great. Well, great to see your little tiny icon of a face. I can see there's a smile in there. So, well, we're a couple minutes in, 7:01. Guess we should probably get started. I forgot to start my Instagram. All right, so hi Instagram, hi Facebook. All righty, so we might as well get started. I'm just going to start generally talking about what I'm planning to do here, what I want to help you guys all with, and then from there, hopefully we will, start getting some questions in and, answering things and educating people. So why is, by the way, how's my audio? Is my audio coming good, everybody? Every good sound, everybody? So basically what I want to bring to everyone's attention, why I think we need to all get on crypto is because history has kind of gone through this before. There was already a big debate previously in the cycle before the 2017 cycle, whether or not crypto was going to be adopted, whether or not we were going to ever see it hit mainstream. And then, bubble crash, and some news article comes out, says, oh, it was a bubble. Hi, it's all done. It's scam. And then it doesn't go away because guess what? People is programmed to function in a certain way. So there's no banker out there. Oh, apparently I'm having connection issues. Well, that's a great start. And I'm at 50% battery. I didn't plan this through. I need a charger. Since it's just you, Amanda, give me 1 second while I grab a charger. I am absolutely in that ahead of time. I'm not just like in a perfect studio somewhere. Just simply. All right, doesn't. No. Oh no. Ah. Where is an outlet? Buddy. Wrong. There's this thing. All right, so if I haven't lost everybody. Fuck it. Hopefully batteries just don't die. All right, well. All right, a third person join us. Great, because I just putting the microphone on after messing up my charging situation, not having any power. All right. Microphone sounding good, not scratching against my beard or anything. All right. Well, I feel bad for everybody who just joined and then left my live stream. So it's... I can't press the button. Oh my fucking God. Oh, fuck's sakes. All right, well, first live stream. This is a learning experience. Let's just say that. Let's stop blocking my own camera. Okay, well, hopefully I got a bunch of other people joining back in. Okay, so where was I? Oh yeah, Bitcoin. The reason it's important is there's no bankster out there who's just going to be able to one day print new Bitcoin. Like there's a set amount, a set rate that they are mineable at, and that creates scarcity and essentially a deflationary behavior. And if you've studied the fiat currency system like I have, there is no fiat currency system in history that has lasted very long historically in the sense of like grand scheme of life on this planet. And quite frankly, I think the longest one was 120 years or 160 years. Either way, like not very long. So basically, money is kind of doomed to fail. It's been a cycle throughout history. And so far, until Bitcoin, we hadn't come up with anything better, not to mention something that matched the internet world, the technological world, that was at the same time trustable, not hackable, and all the other things that you would have with just money on a website or other things like this. And that's something that people don't tend to understand about blockchain is internet is a layer, and when you normally have a website, you have to like put things on top of it and then have other third-party verification stuff to allow yourself to send money and for it not to be, you know, easily manipulated and controlled and stuff like that. Blockchain essentially is all of that technology in one layer. Many people call it Web 3.0 or Finance 2.0. And basically, the amazing thing about that is if you look at the adoption levels compared to any other major thing in the world, like PayPal or, you know, half the things that are still considered new in our lifetime, the adoption is actually extremely small. Despite the fact that everybody knows the name Bitcoin, most of them have heard about it and they're like, oh, it's too late. I've missed out. I've missed the boat. I've missed the boat. And I've heard that miss the boat story so many times. In fact, I'm pretty sure Bastard, any of my friends who know Bastard know that back in the day, he had some crypto. And I remember him telling me one time he sold it for paying rent. And then very shortly after, it went from like below $100 to like $200, and he was just paying rent with. Kind of like the old pizza story where, someone bought a pizza with, 10,000 Bitcoin, and it turns out now that's worth multi-million, if not billions of dollars. Bad, poor connection. Okay, well, we're off to a great start. Was it 12,000? It was, one of those things that you're like, oh man, I wish I was in that thing. But that's why understanding the grand scheme of adoption is important. Like, sure, each of these bubbles have been what we'd call FOMO, people fearing missing out, and they're jumping in as quickly as they can because so many people are seeing gains. And it drives the price up faster than is sustainable. And that is the cycle of these bubbles, why we see this volatility, as well as not many people are actually using it yet. They're essentially just speculating on it. So as we're starting to see more people speculate on, or more people actually adopting it, more companies actually holding it and using it as a hedge against other things, it's not coming down like it did before. And I watched very closely in 2017 versus now, and throughout all the whole bear market, bear market, because that's when things are hibernating. And basically what I found was right now, all the dips, when you would normally see a fairly big sell-off, people panic selling and trying to keep whatever profits they saw. Now, instead of it being panic sells, it is people buying up every dip. And I've told numerous people, being like, oh, look, here's a dip. And it's like for a day. And from what we're understanding from institutions, from news organizations, even JP Morgan just recently talked about this, they expect it to keep going on. People are buying in, and there's actually going to, it's looking like we're going to see something huge. Like JP Morgan just said that he expects Bitcoin to go up to 150 million or $150,000 or whatever it is per token. That's the biggest institution that's talked down and dismissed Bitcoin for a long, long time. And quite frankly, I don't like JP Morgan. I think he uses his money to influence the news, and therefore people take what he says, and that moves the market in itself. So really, fuck him. But I think the fact that he's talking about it and he's getting in means he has something to gain from this. So he's already probably bought in, and now he wants everybody else to start buying in. And thus he's telling everybody it's going to go to 150 million or 150,000. But I do expect, a few more dips. Big numbers are usually points where you see pullbacks. So it comes to 50,000. I expect to see a pullback, and then people are going to buy up that dip. It's going to start going again. We'll retest those levels, and if you break resistance, then it keeps going higher. And think about the fact that eventually we're actually, we just went through what's called a halvening, which means there's half as many rewards for the mining you do, and yet mining companies are still profitable. In fact, mining stocks are through the roof right now. My friend, I think it was like 200% in a month or something like that, off an investment on that. And it's really kind of just the beginning of it in the long scheme. And you're close to double your money already. So it's one of those things that I don't think is going away. I don't think this fad's going to stop. I think this is going to be something that's going to get further and further adopted into our society. And then we're going to see some absolutely incredible, people are going to look back and be like, yeah, remember when you could actually buy a Bitcoin, if you took a mortgage on your house? Yeah, man, I got 1% of a Bitcoin. I'm well I honestly think we're going to get to that point. Unfortunately, I don't know which mining stock it was. I haven't gotten too much into the stock side of things. I'm kind of worried about how a lot of this bailouts of government of major corporations by governments is actually causing a massive inflation in the stock market, which means it could very easily crash too. Of course, at the same time, that also means that there's massive gains to be made in the stock market right now while they're inflating prices. But yeah, it's one of those things where I'm more worried that they can pull the rug out on that than you can with Bitcoin, because really that means everyone has to sell. And since we've been through so many of these bubble bursts, I think there's a lot of people that have become hodlers, which are people are holding it long term because they're thinking 10, 15, 20 years in the future. And they don't care about like the crashes of the bubbles because they know give it long enough time, they're going to be doing well off no matter what. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. So I think I've kind of rambled about Bitcoin enough. So let's actually get into just generally how to get started, how to start investing, even with small amounts of money. And this is going to be all about what kind of risks you're willing to take, what kind of capital you have, and just your attitude towards it. So, oh, that's good. So, of course, if it's my three friends that are watching, hi, three friends. Basically, my first and main way of getting into the crypto game, of course, is the Hive platform, as you've all probably heard me talk about. I'm just going to give us a quick, brief explanation of what it is to those of you who have not heard me rant about it. And essentially, the Hive platform, hive.io or hive.blog, also peaked.com, it's kind of all over the place, which is because it's a decentralized social media platform that has no owner. There's no corporation behind it. There's no central controlling force. It has a community ownership stake system that essentially allows us to vote for who runs the kind of governance system. So it is democracy essentially, but on the blockchain. And if all of a sudden those people make a proposal that the other witnesses don't agree with, they have to have a super census to be able to actually like make major changes on the platform, as well as we can vote them out if we disagree with their changes. And since everybody is a stakeholder, everybody kind of behaves differently, because if you were to, try to be selfish, it's going to harm the platform and harm your investment in the platform. So it's in your favor to kind of grow as a community. And I feel this really changes your behavior. And then on top of that, the incentive to do this is crypto. And the biggest question I always have people ask me is like, well, how is it possible that they can essentially just give out money without it essentially costing anything? And for that, I got to say, well, what does Facebook cost? Facebook costs data. Facebook is selling that data. They're advertising to you. It's a cost in a different form. So essentially what Hive is doing is capturing your attention, something that would normally be, spent on Facebook. And we're tokenizing that attention. And because there is a market value for that, we are able to speculate on that. A lot of people are bullish and very positive in the belief of what this is turning into. So they go out and buy more. This creates demand. And also because so many people are hanging on to it and staking it, which makes their votes more powerful, and they can give out more money on their platform, which earns them more money in return. They also, it causes it that less people are selling or there's lots more people buying than there is selling. So this means that it kind of keeps the market steady. Mind you, it hasn't exactly performed the absolute best. It's kind of been there's been a lot of selling on it, and that's largely because there's inflation and it is being used to cover the costs of servers and different things like that. So it's kind of put a downward pressure on the platform, as well as it's not getting the same attention that some of the main cryptos are, because it's not on the main page anymore after the market cap kind of got split between the fork of the old platform and the new platform. So aside from that, I still think that eventually people are going to catch on. And the previous bull market in 2017, there was so many people joining, it took almost a month for some people to get an account, because there was a lineup of people trying to get on Hive. And Hive was pretty crappy back then. It was called Steemit back then. And it has grown and improved so much that if this happens again, A, I think they can handle the numbers. B, we've got an actual amazing platform for them. We've got video games. We've got like there's like a Magic card game. There's this space developing base thing. All of it in crypto, and you can actually earn rewards and make money off that too. But generally, the whole platform is about creativity and curation. So rather than algorithms controlling your feed and showing what they think you want based on more data being sold, instead, it's people who are curating good content, liking it, hoping other people will like it. That piling on effect means it becomes worth more and more money. You get a tiny portion for bringing it to other people's attention, and the creator gets a good portion, half of the value, because they created some great content that we enjoyed. So first way to get into crypto is create some content on Hive, connect to the community, find some fellow like-minded people, and when you get on the platform, you start either staking your rewards or selling your rewards for Bitcoin and different things like that. And that's kind of half what I've been doing. I've put a fair bit of money into Hive because I am staking on it becoming successful in this next bull run. But then at the same time, I'm expecting that, like right now, the price isn't going up. So I'm going to put some of my profits I earn into Bitcoin. It goes up. And then compared to Bitcoin and Hive, Bitcoin's worth so much more, so I can buy a ton of Hive. And that brings me to the kind of second part of this, where if you don't have a ton of money, but you do have some money, so aside from getting crypto from Hive to invest, now you take $100, $500, $1,000 if you can afford it. And keep in mind, do not invest money you can't afford to lose. This is not financial advice. This is my opinion. What you do is you take that small money, that $100, different things like that. You open up a exchange account with something like Binance or Bittrex, and they have, know your customer process. You have to give them your ID, show a picture of you next to your ID, and a little sign saying like, hey, I'm signing up for Binance. Like, this isn't someone photoshopping my face. And when you do that, then you can get an account and you can exchange your Bitcoin or whatever crypto you have or money into other cryptocurrencies. And for example, just I think from yesterday to today, maybe the day before, there's several cryptocurrencies that went up 100%, and in the last week or so, like 200 to 300%. So like it's a little hard to know which one is going to join. Or which one's going to, sorry, I'm reading people joining on my Instagram. It's going to be a little hard to tell which one's going to go up. So you have to like really research the projects. Keep in mind, there's a lot of scam projects out in the crypto market because it's sort of like this new thing and everyone just thinks, oh, I can create the new Bitcoin. Everyone's going to join. Yay. But you got to be careful. But if you find an amazing platform or an amazing crypto that you think is going to be good and it's worth like 2 cents, buy a couple hundred of that and hope it one day goes to, well, buy a couple thousand of that and hope it one day goes to $1. There's definitely some cryptocurrencies that I expect to go 10 times their evaluation that they are currently, and I've actually seen some of that happen very recently. So it's what's called the altcoin cycle. It just happened multiple times before. course, on a much smaller scale and not quite as legitimized as it is now. Um, so basically, what the altcoin cycle is when Bitcoin starts kind of plateauing at the peaks of its evaluation, a lot of that Bitcoin Cash, all these different cryptocurrencies, some of them have meaning, some of them don't. But the really nice thing about them is because they're so much smaller, it takes a lot less amount of money to push them up crazy amounts. And there's a lot of risk in this because, of course, maybe these projects could fail. Maybe the market doesn't decide that they're important or their competitor wins. And next thing you know, you're holding money that's basically worthless. So, too much money into altcoins. But if you do your research and you really are confident in something, like it's worth it because if you're really smart about it, you can plan an exit route for if it goes bad or if it goes good. So you buy, you're like, okay, well, this is how much I'll accept that it can go down based on the charts where it's been before previously. I think that, it stopped going down and it's starting to go up. The trend is changing, or I believe this project actually could be worth a lot more compared to other projects that are similar to it. So I think this one's undervalued. I'm going to put a decent amount of money in it. Or maybe you just, learn to read charts. Like there's a lot of people that look at charts and they're like, everybody else is seeing this. This looks like a good buy. You buy in, everybody else buys in, price goes to the moon, you sell. But what you can also do is set up stop limits, which are stop losses, which are basically something that says, if the price comes down to here, sell at this price. And you always want to set the stop loss here and the sell price just a little bit below it to make sure that the price doesn't come down so fast that you miss your sell and then you're left wondering why your tokens didn't sell while the price plummets to the floor and it's worthless. I don't think that's going to happen as much these days just because the confidence in the community. But it's still a risk. So you set that, and then you watch your tokens. You set alerts that tell you when prices move a certain amount. A lot of platforms have this, or you can sign up for like CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko, different things like that. And you can message me later for links, or I'll put some links down below when I post this video. And you can set alerts that'll just tell you when there's a major movement in certain coins that you're watching. So you tell yourself, you every time you see it go up a bit, put your stop loss a little bit below it, where it's not going to lose if it has a little fluctuation and like sell your coin and then start going up to the moon. But you also want to make sure that if it does drop down and start plummeting to zero, plenty of people who are millionaires for maybe, a couple of days during 2017 and then lost it all because they didn't sell. So you have to be prepared. You have to know what your strategy is and don't be greedy. Like watch carefully, attention, and you're going to go to sleep and not pay attention to your charts. Then set goals, set points that you want it to sell at. If it goes to the moon overnight, have it set that where if it hits, $100,000 or something like that for Bitcoin while you're sleeping, it's going to sell because you're thinking that shortly after it's going to drop below, because 100,000 is a big mental barrier for people to see Bitcoin going above. And so this kind of is just things you have to think about and understand to make sure you're getting the best out of your investment. Like, I don't doubt if you put $100 in now, it'd be nice to have $1,000 at the end of this. That's $1,000 in your pocket. That being said, I think my biggest regrets of 2017 was wishing I put in more because I definitely could have walked away with a lot more. I could have set myself up for my future. But I had a lot of lessons to learn. I was aware of that, and I took my time, and well, I didn't lose money. So, yay. Yeah, so there's a little bit of risk to be taken with altcoins, but I can also steer you towards some really good crypto YouTubers who have a lot of good advice, who have given out Great recommendations in the past that have been kind of part of what helped me make as much as I have. And yeah, it's more or less just knowing the risks. So it's like if you're not 70% certain on something, don't put 70% of your money on there. Put 10%. Even when I'm pretty confident in something, I think the most I've put on any project is probably about 25% minus Bitcoin, which I have a good percentage in, like over 50. So but yeah, generally that's where I would go with trying to make as much money as possible. And one of the things you can often do too is, and it's not really recommended to do short-term trading. I don't know what the tax costs are on quick back and forth trading and stuff like that. I don't I think you just pay when you pull it out of the platforms and turn it into fiat currencies. So I don't think the shuffling back and forth costs you, but you want to do some research. I'm not an expert. But the thing you can often do is most coins are traded to Bitcoin. So it's like Ethereum and Bitcoin, they trade against each other, and you can also do Ethereum and US dollars. So sometimes you'll be looking at a chart and it'll be like, okay, well, it's actually going down in dollars, or maybe it's going up in dollars or something like that. This is a bad example, but generally there can be a discrepancy in the price versus the Bitcoin price. And if you know your math and understand it enough, you can actually kind of switch between coins and go, like, say Bitcoin's going up a lot faster than this coin. This coin's going to appear to be going down in the chart. So you sell it for Bitcoin, ride the Bitcoin wave up, and then you see that that other chart suddenly has a bunch of buyers coming in. And it looks like it's about to change direction and start going up. Well, you can sell your Bitcoin and go back into that coin and ride that wave up. And if you do it really smart, like I remember in 2017, I sat and watched, I think I put in like not even $900. I watched it turn to about $3,000 in a couple months, and then neglected to sell most of it when the crash happened. But the point being is, if you're paying attention, you do your research, you spend some time watching the charts and just kind of getting to know your own, like, are you just afraid of missing out, or do you actually believe this is a good project? Are you motivated entirely by greed, or are you thinking that, well, once again, this project's successful? Is it going to be good? And at the same time, there are situations where there's projects I don't believe in. Heck, there's a coin, the Doge coin, which is a meme coin. It's not backed by anything, I don't believe, except for, like, I think people put memes on the coin. It is, I think it was worth, like, I don't know, that was like several 100% increase. So that coin's backed by nothing. But had I followed some instincts that I had, I was thinking to myself, I've seen this pump before. Maybe I should buy some because it looks like it's at the bottom. Guess what? Shortly after, it pumped. And, had I listened to my instincts, I could have put $100 in there and turn it into $1,000. Well, maybe, I guess it would be like $200 to $300. But the point being, and mind you, I wouldn't have put thousands and thousands of dollars in there because I don't know why Dogecoin is going to explode, other than people getting excited about it and seeing markets go up. So people fear or FOMO themselves in. So that's something that's hard to predict. So you can throw small amounts of change into something like that has so much up potential that, well, you threw away $100 or $50. But all of a sudden you get a couple $1,000s out of it because maybe it goes up like 20 times or even more. Like, that's kind of potential that's going on in the crypto community. But once the sentiment changes, and that's largely about paying attention to, what are people talking about? Is every single person and their dog talking about Bitcoin right now? Well, that hype will last for so long, and then once it dies down, you better be prepared to sell. So another part of crypto trading is not paying attention to just the markets themselves, but what people are thinking, what people are talking about, what the news is talking about, and all these little things, and then just kind of keeping your eyes and fingers on the pulse and paying close attention. And the nice thing about a lot of the platforms, like on ShakePay, you can sell into Canadian dollars, and so if the price is crashing, you can sell your Bitcoin, keep it in Canadian dollars. So you've sold, like, okay, maybe you got $200 profit. So you sell it as is at that price. Bitcoin goes down a couple $1,000s. Buy in with that same amount of money plus that $200 that you've gained as profit. Well, now you got even more Bitcoin. And if that cycle repeats, you can keep doing that and keep doing that and slowly gain more Bitcoin or just more Canadian dollars as you eventually take out your profits. So the money you're trading with is money that basically didn't exist before, because now you've already got your initial investment out and you are now scot-free to just throw that money at whatever you want and gamble it. Like, that's sometimes how I treat it. Mind you, I find that when I tell myself that, I tend to not trade as quite as wisely as I could. But at the same time, that's also where I've seen some pretty major gains. So there's a few possibilities. Yeah, and I think that generally covers my plan. Like, I'm hoping for Bitcoin to go up to 50,000. Then I expect kind of a pullback, just because 50,000 is a huge mental number. I think a lot of people are going to be ready to sell at such a big even number. And then people are going to realize that the drop isn't going down as far as it did previously, and because banks, institutions, and I even just recently heard Ukraine is going to start to see a lot of people getting back into it, and then we're going to ride up to what I think J.P. Morgan said, around 150 to 160,000 dollars per Bitcoin. So that's generally what I'm expecting. And the most important thing is just pay attention, because if it starts going down tomorrow, be ready to sell, or be prepared to just wait it out till the next time it comes up again, because you give it enough time, guarantee you're not going to regret getting in. It's just the future of Bitcoin is looking a little bit too bright. So, well, I've done a bit of ranting. Do I have any questions that anybody would like to ask? Any advice they would specifically need to get involved into crypto? How to secure it? What wallets to use? What platforms to use? Yeah. Anything anyone would like to ask? I see a bunch of people waving at me who I've unfortunately, I think, joined and left, but that's Instagram for you. Yeah. Generally, my hope is that I can get all of you guys, or at least a good portion of my friends, to join, and we are all going to take sweet vacations and go live on a tropical island somewhere and ignore what's going on in the world, because it's going to shit. And we'll just retire early. I guess, yeah, I gave a big list of things, didn't I? Well, for one, I use a Ledger wallet. There's several different brand names out there. Generally, what you want to do is just make sure you're reading a lot of reviews, see if there's been any major hacks. As far as I know, in Ledger, the only major hack was some of their customer data, which then led to most of the users getting phishing email scams, which are, demanding that they give up their passwords. So do not, just be smart about not giving out your password, because Ledger doesn't need your password in an email. They will never ask you for your email or anything like that. So don't give out your passwords. That's the number one most important thing. And then because you are holding your own cryptocurrencies, it's also important to have a fireproof safe to keep the secret key in so you can recover your crypto if something goes wrong. And you want to make sure that you have a fireproof safe in case your house burns down. You can also get a numeric key code thing, which is like a book with all the different passwords you could possibly need that are all metal. So you set your password in this device, you close it, lock it with a padlock so no one can read your password. If your house burns down, that thing will survive and you'll be able to read your password afterwards and recover it, even if your Trezor wallet or your Ledger wallet was burnt in the fire. And there are like different platforms you can keep your crypto on. Like if you know what you're doing on the internet and you trust yourself, platforms where you can, give them your half Bitcoin, or, assuming you've invested enough money to have something like that. And you can put it in somewhere, earn interest, which then leads to you being paid in Bitcoin, and therefore you end up with more Bitcoin, as well as the fact that, the Bitcoin itself is going up in value. So that's kind of a very handy thing to do that some people do, but make sure you've read a lot of reviews, and make sure they have a good model, because there has been several things like that where they pay obscene amounts of profits to people, and turns out it was a giant pyramid scheme where, of course, the money was coming from just new members signing up, and eventually when new members stopped signing up, there wasn't really much money, and some people took a nice vacation. So you got to be careful for those things. I personally don't do much staking, although I'm planning to do, I do some on Hive, and I'm planning to do some through the Ledger wallet because they have a staking system on there. So if I can stake while it's still in my own possession, and it kind of leads to me making some extra crypto, I don't see why I'm going to not try that. I think the main worry is whether or not you can pull your crypto out real quickly to sell it if all of a sudden the price crashes. So, pay close attention to the market. Oh, boy, my throat gets dry talking for so long. How do people do this? Joe Rogan's no wonder he's always smoking weed and drinking on the show. Was there something else I mentioned that you wanted to know, Amanda? By the way, you're famous now. You're on YouTube. I said your name, and I'm apparently famous too. And yeah, generally what I'm planning to do with this whole channel is kind of do a little bit more of this, where it's me talking about things I'm into. Obviously, part of that's going to be longboarding, part of that's going to be crypto, part of that's going to be crazy theories about what's going on in the world. Well, honestly, I say that because people constantly call me crazy, but then if you logically break down what I believe, I think most people believe crazy things because the world's crazy, and I just sound crazy because I'm speaking logic in a world that's backwards. But that's my opinion. That's my viewpoint. So, where do you find your reviews? Well, one of the places you can start is you go on coinmarketcap.com, and it has about sections on all the different coins. You can also go into different tabs that show marketing, source material, their white paper. The white and blue papers are essentially the draft plan of what they want to do with the crypto. And it's often kind of technical. Sometimes it's also fairly well explained for layman's terms. So that'll tell you what their strategy is, what their timeline expectation is. And at the same time, you can go to a lot of YouTube videos. I recommend Data Dash. He does some amazing work. He's also more of a long-term trader, not a swing trader, but he's just got a really kind of humble, down-to-earth way of explaining things where it's understandable and at the same time, you can tell he's not really trying to gain too much out of it. He's just kind of like got that helpful person feel. Crypto is a good person for, and I think it's a zero at the end. The Crypto. But I think he's really good for like talking about news and different things that happened in the whole crypto world. So I get lots of information from him. Then there is, well, I have a bunch of people on Hive I follow because there's this whole financial community called Leo Finance, which I can trade Hive for. I could post on their side of things. I get paid Leo in, and actually recently went up like several 100%. So my $1 turned into $5. But I wish I'd put a couple $100 into that because yeah, that's really nice. And let me think where else I get reviews from. Generally, I just kind of read a bit of everything. I have a pretty good sense when you're like watching someone's review of a coin and you're like, they're making this sound too good to be true. They're not being kind of like open about, you know, what you would normally question of these things. And, you know, to me, then you're like, okay, well, is this guy being paid to tell me this? Like, mind you, there is major lawsuits, and I think there's some kind of law that's against people not telling you they're paid to advertise something to you. And then they have to give up a bunch of their money that they earned from it. I think there was a couple of celebrities that recently got caught doing that, where they promoted some kind of thing that turned out to be a scam, and they all got in trouble for not telling people that they were paid to promote it. So that's always fun. So yeah, you got to be careful for that. Let's see. Send me links on Hive to these communities. Still getting the hang of navigating my Peaked. Yeah, so, well, you'll see a lot of the Leo Finance posts on Hive and Peaked because you're seeing all the same feed. Like the Leo Finance people, you can go into their community in the community section and see all their posts. But at the same time, you can see it in the news feed, and you can go to, I think it's leofinance.io, and there you'll also find like purely their curated financial posts, but it's like it's all interconnected. It's kind of interesting how it works. And then there's just, yeah, people in there that I follow, a bunch of people on Twitter as well. It is too many to name, and I'm also just not good at remembering names, but I can definitely send you some links and some people to follow as I'm like rechecking them and remembering who they are. I'm like, oh yeah, this person, he's got great advice. At the same time, yeah, with Peaked, I like Peaked. So good. But yeah, I'll definitely send you some links on that. And yeah, well, any other questions? I feel like I'm kind of all ranted out. I'm going to smoke a bowl. We'll see what ends up happening afterwards. I didn't click that this. I am not a financial expert. I am not. Oh, it says I was disconnected for a second. I'm not a financial expert. I'm not a professional. Do your own research. Don't take my word for anything because there's always potential that I'm completely wrong. But I really hope I'm not, because if I'm not, I'm going to be doing quite well. I have over 14,000 Hive now, and it little while ago, I think it was just last year. Yeah, obviously this last year, because Hive isn't even that old. It pumped a little bit, and I don't have a lighter. I did not think of this. I guess I'm not smoking. So yeah, basically, Hive pumped up to $1, and had I been prepared to like sell a bunch of my tokens, which I'm waiting until the higher prices, it would be worth $14,000. I think at that point I had about 8,000 or 9,000 Hives, so it was close to $10,000. So yeah, it's one of those things that if we're really smart about it, I think I think Hive has some very big potential in the future. The key is like it needs users. It needs people on there. We need to interact with each other on there because why uh, why give our money to Facebook and let them sell all of our data just because of our other friends are on there? I don't see a point in that. Plus, I don't like the terms and conditions of Instagram changing and how they're, you know, watching through your camera now, and they can monitor every single person in your house connected to the same IP address. So, even if you want privacy, if someone in your household is using Instagram, I think Facebook, because they're owned by Facebook together, they can spy and gather data on pretty much every single thing in your house. Like it was bad before, but now it's like everything. Like they can watch you through your camera. They've put it in the terms and conditions. And if you've used Instagram since the New Year's, you've in their terms accepted it. So fuck Instagram. But till I get everybody else to join me on Hive, it's going to still be a little while. Yeah, no, definitely take a look at that. Like they changed them just recently, and they kind of put it in a sneaky way where it's like, yeah, well, use your camera to help you choose better facial masks and dog ears and stuff. But you actually look into it and it says like it's allowed to look through your camera anytime, not just when you're using the app, not just when you're looking at yourself through the camera. Like there's actually like, well, yeah, a lot of people have made comments on it. JP Spears, of course, made some jokes about it. Definitely a lot of people have kind of mixed feelings about JP Spears. I had someone kind of going off the saying that they think he's a sellout because he's, put commercials on his things. And well, I wouldn't doubt that he's been demonetized, or at least a lot of his videos been demonetized because of what he talks about. And therefore he's had to make money other ways. I can't blame him. And quite frankly, the products he's trying to sell are like deodorants without aluminum in it, and clothes cleaning things that are like not full of toxic chemicals. Yeah, he's a hilarious. He's overly sarcastic, and I think he's not as funny as he thinks he is, but he is hilarious at the same time. It's just like he's over the top. And I also find it weirdly unsettling how ripped he actually is. Like he's too funny to be that ripped. It's almost hilarious in itself. Yeah. Good times. Maybe now that I've name dropped some famous people in my video, all the viewers will start coming in. 2 viewers. I tried. Well, my favorite fan. Is there anything else you would like me to answer? I think I'm it. That's it for me. And then I'm going to maybe do this again next week or something like that. See if we can get more people to join. Actually, I didn't even check my Facebook group to see if all of a sudden people are commenting in there for some reason rather than on the chat. Awesome to talk to you and chat with you. I was supposed to remind Jeremy. Anyways, it's been nice. Peace out, guys. You guys have a good one. See you in the future. That's come up with a catchphrase. Roll on with crypto. I'll work on a better one.